I think this comes from either the Sar Shalom of Belz or Rebbe Naftali of Rupshitz, one of the great Hasidic masters. He said as follows, such a powerful line. It says in Pirkei Avos, Moreh Rabbach K'Moreh Shamayim. The fear of your Rebbe should be like the fear of heaven. So we all translate it. You have Yiras Hashem. You fear Hashem Elokecha Tira, as the Gemara says, L'Rabbis Talmidei Chacham. Fear your Rebbe like you fear heaven. And again, for many people, this is like, really? Well, I should fear him like the. He says, jump, I should jump. Just complete compliance and obedience. I just fear him like I fear God. You know, sometimes it could feel, what's the right word? Abusive or just, it's like, leave me alone. And that's what breeds cynicism and indifference and apathy. And people say, I'm not naive. I'm not selling my soul to somebody who's going to use my money to get himself a nicer car. I'm sorry. Or to build up his community and his interaction. I wish him well. Let him become a real estate tycoon. Don't turn this into divinity. It's a good Tanya, and you have to be careful with this because people need to think for themselves. This kashrus can be based on coercion and stupidity and naivete. For a chassid to be a chassid, the Rebbe has to be a Rebbe. So he said as follows: Moreh Rabbach K'Moreh Shamayim is not an instruction; it's a prediction. The fear that you will have from your Rebbe will mirror the fear that he has from Hashem. It's going to be in direct proportion. It's almost like a mirror. His Yiras Shamayim will be mirrored in your Yirah. A Rebbe who's kol kula Yiras Shamayim. His whole mitzias is what? Bittul. Yiras Shamayim. Whole mitzias is egolessness, powerlessness. I'm an Eved Hashem. That will exactly be reflected in your experience of reverence. If his Yiras Shamayim is compromised, automatically your fear will be compromised. You'll feel it right away. If his Yiras Shamayim is absolute, then what is your fear of? Your fear of, here's a person whose entire metzius is just a conduit for Hashem.
You told me two things. The Rebbe is one with Hashem. You told me the Rebbe is one with you. Can I be so bold as to make an assumption here? You're telling me that I'm one with Hashem. You know that the Sikha and the Haisafas of Chelik Beis, where the Rebbe says those words about Atzmus and Mahus, Reingestellt and Aguf, or whatever.
Or again, if you don't get it, if you don't have a good
very
deep education,
alarming words,
and it could be misconstrued, just like the person who feels that his kashrus can stifle them. Here is another element of his kashrus that can be completely misunderstood.
So those words are ones that people always like to talk about, and some people love it, some people hate it. But to me, the more alarming words is in the same column there, when the Rebbe says, "Azoivi Yisrael reis ve'kutche bricha kol echad." Rebbe chassid nebishter sein nein zach. Not that the Rebbe is saying that a tzaddik has that level of oneness with Hashem, but you missed something there. That's right. You're part of that equation.
Yeah.
You're part of that.
And the tzaddik can help you see that because he has no eye interposing, interfering. There's no static.
And you're saying the true self of a Rebbe is no ego. It is Atzmos shining straight through. So what does that mean? Fill it in for me. I get to meet my godliness. My godliness. Or the language in Chassidus Svarim is that a Rebbe is not a memutza hamafsik, it's a memutza mechaber. It's not an intermediary between you and God. There's no such a thing. We don't have between you and God. Right. What is that?
There's no intermediary between you and God. It's like, I need to speak to God. Let me go to him.
The Rebbe's lashon over there was basically, when you go to the tzaddik, you're going to yourself. Because he's the head, and the Jewish people are all one body. So when any part of the body goes to the head, it's not going to some other. It's not going to an other entity. If it were, then it would actually be forbidden, just like going to an angel, which is not one with you. It's an other entity, and therefore you're putting this other entity between you and Hashem. You're not allowed to do that. When you go to the Rebbe, really what are you doing? You're presenting yourself in your best light. So it's not someone else, but if you're talking about a Rebbe who's Rosh Bnei Yisrael, so that's me as a head.
Right.
That's not, there's the Rebbe who's the head and I'm a toenail. No. Right. All one DNA, like we were saying before, Perek Beis of Tanya. Yeah. So the Rebbe, or you call it the mirror in the Chabad house, the Rebbe is me in my best light.
Yeah. And how can a Rebbe be that? The answer is that a Rebbe is somebody who is so worked out and obviously has a special soul that God gives him, but he has to really work himself out to become a person that becomes the embodiment of what the Baal Shem Tov always taught is the essence of Yiddishkeit. Ata reisi ladaski Hashem hu alakim ein oid milvado. Ani nivreisi l'shamash eskaini. My entire I is a conduit to fulfill Hashem's will in this world. And to be in the presence of such a teacher, of such a master, puts you in the atmosphere, in the ambiance, in the paradigm of oneness, of Achdus Hashem. The moment it becomes about worshiping a person, if it's about worshiping a person or surrendering to a person, it's about a person instead of Hashem, I lost the plot. I completely lost the plot. It's never about a person. The moment the Rebbe becomes about a Rebbe instead of Hashem, you miss the point. The whole mitzias of a Rebbe is nothing but Hashem because of his bittul to Hashem. So the moment the Rebbe becomes anything else but I'm a conduit, I'm a servant for God, complete servant, more than everybody else, not less. A Rebbe is a Rebbe not because he has more power than everybody else, because he has nothing, because there's no I. I'm just Ein Sof. I'm just bottled to Ein Sof. I'm a conduit for Ein Sof. I'm one with Ein Sof. Shluchim Shalom Kamoisa. That's what makes a Rebbe a Rebbe. The moment I lose that, the moment I'm not toifus, the moment you don't grasp this nekuda, what makes a Rebbe is the fact that there's no agenda, there's no thought, there's no word, there's no action, there's no much, but a conduit for the will of God, for the will of God, which is one, completely one. A Rebbe can't get this through blind faith. Our Rebbe didn't get this through blind faith. The Baal Shem Tov didn't get this through blind faith. That could chas v'shalom be a terrible disaster. If somebody shows up tomorrow and says, I'm this man, here, look at me, and you'll see God. You know what we call those people, right? Demagogues, tyrants, mishagoyim, cult leaders. This is not a joke. Either you're real, what does Reb Shmuel Munkes tell the Alter Rebbe? Either you're real, or, it's hard to say, you deserve a sentence that's antithetical to life. If this is not real, it's a crime. It's a crime against humanity. Rabbi was once Farbrengen with us, it was off the record. He said, if the Rebbe would have been, it's hard to say, but if let's say the Rebbe would have been caught, with one thing against Shulchan Aruch, what would happen? The Rebbe spoke for 42 years, a lot. Let's say there would be one time Lashon Hara, Chas v'Shalom. One time Rechilas, just once. It's not bad. Rabbi Shais, 44 years, once Lashon Hara, how's that? Tzaddik in my book, but Rabbi Yoel said, Ois Rebbe. Ois Rebbe, it's not a joke. He's a good guy. I have no issue. A guy speaks Lashon Hara, a guy doesn't have air. Fine, you do tshuva. I have no problem. We all do sins, and hopefully we do tshuva, and you're a good man, and you're a fine yid, and you're an erlich yid, and I look up to you, and I love you, and I cherish you, and I want to learn from you. Because people are people, we are flawed. Ein tzaddik b'aretz asher yaseh tov v'lo yecht. If the Baal Shem Tov would have been caught with one little sin, if the Alter Rebbe would have been caught just with just one Shabbos, he had a weak moment. It doesn't make you a bad guy, it makes you human. But that's not the Rebbe we're talking about. The Rebbe didn't earn his trust by blind faith. Remember, I was born in 72. But from when the Rebbe became a Rebbe, he was scrutinized for decades. And scrutinized by Chabad Chassidim. for years and years and years and years and years, and he was scrutinized. Why? Because you can't accept a Rebbe on blind faith. That's not a Rebbe. It's serious stuff. If you're talking about a person who's a sinner for Ein Sof, Anas Simona B'Amar Ashbi says, Shluchim shel Adam Kamoisem, a conduit for Hashem. This is very serious. If I see a little bit of corruption, it's ice. It's out. You're a good guy. You're a good man, and every Jew is a chelik elokami mal mamish. But it's not this level of intensity that I could connect to, and say this person is murdered abach k'murder shamayim, is a reflection of Ratzon Hashem. Like it says in Tanya that tzaddik is a transformed person, and a Rebbe is deeper than a tzaddik. It says in Ramach Oisius Reb Hillel, a tzaddik is bli gvul, a beinoni is gvul, a Rebbe is the chibur of gvul and bli gvul. Tzaddik is infinity, a beinoni is finiteness, a Rebbe is the fusion of the two. There's no such a thing. Deification of a Rebbe is not a Jewish idea. Deification of a person is not a Jewish idea. We deify one, God, Milvado, and God is everything. God is Alts and Alts is God. God is pervasive oneness, and we are all part of that oneness, and that's Mashiach, the revelation. Like Chassidus explains, that the energy of the divinity will be revealed. And the Rebbe is somebody who lives in that state of Geula and therefore inspires Klal Yisrael to live in that space of oneness where the I doesn't exist outside of Hashem.